Welcome, welcome, welcome to Story Time with me, Miss Sheila. I hope you're having a wonderful and beautiful day. Today's story is called Going Someplace Special. Let's find out where she's going to go, okay? Okay. Mama Frances chuckled, all the time studying her granddaughter's face. I'll trust you'll be particular and remember everything I've told you. I will, Trisha Ann said, real confident like. Suddenly her smile grew into a full grin. So you're saying I can go? I reckon, but you best hurry on, for I changed my mind. Pulling her pocketbook up on her shoulder, Trisha Ann blew her grandmother a thank you kiss. Then she rushed out the door and down the sidewalk. And no matter what, Mama Frances called after her, hold your head up and act like you belong to somebody. So there's the grandma, and there's her granddaughter. So let's find out where she's going. At the corner, a green and white bus came to a jerky stop and hissed. When the doors folded back, Trisha Ann bounded up the stairs and dropped in the fare, same as when Mama Frances was with her. The girl squared her shoulders, walked to the back, and took a seat behind the Jim Crow sign that said colored section. So maybe this is her first time going on the bus by herself. Oh, and so there she is, and here it says colored section, and that was like happening um like in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. Trisha Ann had seen such signs all her life, and she recalled the first time she and Mama Frances had taken the bus ride, and her grandmother had told her, those signs can tell us where to sit, but they can't tell us what to think. So true. I'm going to think about someplace special, Trisha Ann said to herself and turned to look out the window. Stop. The bus began to fill. At the market, people crowded on, carrying bags of fruit and vegetables. Mrs. Granell, Mama Frances' friend from sewing club, climbed on board as she inched her way toward the back. Trisha Ann noticed that there were no seats left behind the Jim Crow sign, so she stood up and gave Mrs. Cornell hers. Oh, that was a really good of her to give up her seat. It's not fair, she said, glared at the empty seats up front. No, but that's the way it is, honey. I don't understand why, she began. But by now the bus had reached Trisha Ann's stop in front of Capitol Square, in the heart of downtown. The doors swung open and she hurried off. Carry yourself proud, Mrs. Cornell called uh, out the window as the bus pulled away. There she is, looking so happy. Holding her hat, Trisha Ann leaned back as far as she could to see the Peace Fountain's magnificent water show. It made her dizzy to watch the sprays that shot high up in the air, but she liked the feeling and turned round and round with her arms outstretched. Then, giggling, she staggered on wobbly legs to a nearby bench. Ooh, look at that! That would be cool to see. Instantly, Trisha Ann leaped to her feet. On the bench was a sign that said, "For whites only." Oh! Her face fell, and she wished her for Mama Frances' strong hand to hold. Silly sign, she muttered as she strutted away on somber legs. At the edge of the square, she greeted Jimmy Lee, a street vendor. "What got your face all clouded up like a stormy day?" he asked, handing Trisha Ann a free pretzel. "Jim Crow makes me so mad. My grandfather was a stone mason on Peace Fountain. Why can't I sit down and enjoy it?" Jimmy Lee pointed to a sign in a Rose restaurant window. He said, "My brother cooks all the food they serve, but do you think we can sit at one of their tables and have a BLT and a cup of coffee together?" Then with a chuckle he whispered, "Nope. Not that I'd want to eat anything Dusty cooks. That man can't even now scald water." The light changed and Trisha Ann carefully started across the street. "Don't let those signs steal your happiness," Jimmy Lee called after her. He's true. Don't let it steal, even though it's painful and hard. Trisha Ann pulled her shoulder back and fixed her thoughts on being inside that warm and welcoming place where there were no signs. Hurrying up 10th Avenue, she passed the filling station, stopped to buy a pop to wash down Jimmy Lee's pretzel. At the second light, the Southland Hotel rose up in front of her, as spectacular as a palace. Mr. John Lewis, the hotel's doorman, saw her. I believe an angel done slipped way from heaven. He smiled. Trisha Ann managed to smile back. Mr. John Willis said the nicest things. No, sir, it's just me. Your mouth is smiling, but your eyes aren't, he said. Just then, a long white car with two police escorts pulled up in front of the hotel. A man with black, shiny hair and shy eyes stepped out. Suddenly, people were everywhere screaming and begging for his autograph. Trisha Ann got caught in the crowd and swept inside. So often she wondered what it'd feel like to walk on the royal red carpet that covered the double winding staircase, or to stand in the light of the chandelier that looked like a million diamonds strung together. Now there she was, smack in the middle of the Southland Hotel's grand lobby. Ooh, wow. Somebody pointed at her. What is she doing here? It seemed as if the whole world had stopped talking and stopped moving and was staring at her. The manager pushed his way to the front of the crowd. What makes you think you can come inside? No colored people are allowed. And he shooed the girl away with his arms. Trisha Ann backed out, shaking her head. I didn't mean, she said, trying hard not to cry. Oh, that's not nice. Hurrying past Mr. John Willis, Trisha Ann ran straight into the mission church ruins where Mama France often stopped to rest. Then, in the protection of the walled garden, the girl let the tears come. Getting to someplace special isn't worth it, she sobbed. I'm going home. Oh, my flowers have been watered already, called a voice above. It was Blooming Mary, an elderly woman who took care of the garden with neither permission nor pay. Everybody said she was addled, but Mama Frances didn't agree. Blooming Mary is a kind and gentle soul, she told Trisha Ann. You lost, child? Trying to steady her voice, Trisha Ann answered. No, ma'am. I just wish my grandmother was here to help me get to someplace special. You can't get there by yourself? It's too hard. I need my grandmother. Blooming, Blooming Mary nodded and thought on the matter. Then she said, I believe your granny is here, just as my granny is here with me as I speak. Listen close. Tell me what you hear. All Trisha Ann heard was the distant buzz of a bumblebee. What was Blooming Mary talking about? But as she listened closer, she began to hear grandmother's steady voice. You are somebody, a human being, no matter, no worse. No better, no worse than anybody else in this world. Getting someplace special is not an easy route, but don't study on quitting. Just keep walking straight ahead and you'll make it. Trisha Ann recalled these words from many conversations they had in this quiet place. They were so comforting. She didn't feel alone anymore. She wiped her eyes and straightened her hat. You're right, ma'am, the girl said. Mama Frances is here and she wouldn't want me to turn back. So, you aren't lost after all? Um, said Blooming Mary, giving Trisha Ann a bright orange flower. No, ma'am, I'm not. And saying goodbye, she had it real determined, like on her way. Oh. 2 blocks later, Trisha Ann came to the Grand Music Palace, where a group had gathered for the matinee performance. As the girl approached, a little boy spoke to her. Howdy, I'm Hickey, and I'm 6 years old today. You coming in? Before Trisha Ann could answer, an older girl grabbed his hand. Hush, boy, she said through clenched teeth. Colored people can't come into the front door. They got to go around back and sit up in the buzzard's roost. Don't you know nothing? Hickory looked at Trisha Ann with wide, wondering eyes. Are you going to sit up there? In the last three rows of the balcony. Why, I wouldn't sit up there even if watermelons bloomed in January. Besides, I'm going someplace very, very special, she said. And she skipped away. I want to go where she's going, she heard Hickory say as his sister pulled him through the door. Oh. At the corner, Trisha Ann saw a building rising above all that surrounded it, looking proud in the summer sun. It was much more than bricks and stones. It was an idea. Mama Frances called it a doorway to freedom. When she looked at it, she didn't feel angry or hurt or embarrassed. At last, I made it to some place special. Whoa, looks like a nice something special. Before bounding up the steps and through the front door, Tricia Ann stopped to look at the message, chiseled in the stone across the front facing. Public Library, all welcome. Oh, isn't that beautiful? There is some really hard stuff that's happened to her, but I'm so grateful she kept going forward. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope it will remind you to always, always keep going for the gusto. And what people might say or do, sometimes we just have to let it go and just keep being strong in ourselves, right? Right. So keep pushing forward. Until next time with me, Sheila, you keep shining your light bright. Bye for now.